Okay, I think it's been 6 weeks since I brush hogged the field. I did that at the end of July and it's mid-September now, so I'm just going to say 6 weeks. And so I wanted to go and see how everything was. What I wanted to have happen was I wanted to knock the buckwheat down and then the buckwheat go back to the ground and then sprout more buckwheat up. But as you can tell, that really didn't happen. But what I think happened is something that's even more interesting. So let's go out to the field and let's see if my theory is true. Okay, this first bit here, I brush hogged yesterday because it was just growing a bunch of just scraggly weeds, like grass type weeds, and it was getting kind of tall and I was tired of looking at it, so I just did three quick swipes here, as you can see there. But as we go in the back here, you can see there's some buckwheat here. Like there's a buckwheat right there. And if you look closely, I can see some more buckwheat plants. But the vast majority of the stuff that's out here is this, which is actually peanuts. And the reason it's peanuts is because that was the last crop that the farmer planted before he passed away and before we took over the field. Because he did peanuts last year, and then they had actually done their first cultivating at the beginning of May, and then he passed away a few days later. And so typically what they would do is they would do a cultivating about 2 or 3 weeks before they would start planting. So they would cultivate, let it sit for a few weeks, and then they would cultivate again and plant. So they had just finished doing the first cultivating when he passed away. And so all of the remainder of the peanut plants that were not harvested last year, or I should say the peanuts themselves, were in the ground, just sitting there. Like if you look right there, there's a peanut shell there, there's a peanut shell there. Well, just imagine scatter that all over 5 acres. And so when we spread the buckwheat, this was, I want to say 95% still cultivated with nothing growing on it. And so the buckwheat was basically fighting with the peanuts when it started growing. If we were able to get the buckwheat up before the peanuts came up, then the buckwheat could have suppressed some of the peanuts. But the good thing is, out of any regular crop a farmer could have done, peanuts would probably be the best thing to do from our standpoint, because peanuts from a crop standpoint is one of your better crops that you can do, because being a legume, it's able to pull more nutrients out of the soil than a regular crop would. I know soybeans are a legume, but I know peanuts are better than soybeans as far as nitrogen fixation and stuff like that. But soybeans are actually good too. But primarily, at least as long as we've known, this property has either been soybeans or peanuts. So coming back here, this area here with all the dog fennel's the stuff that looks like little pine trees. none of this got brush hogged. And originally it didn't get brush hogged because I was running out of gas, well, diesel. And so I had to get back because I didn't want to strand the tractor all the way back here and have it run out of fuel. But then it's like, well, let me keep this the way it was without brush hogging it to see what this would look like versus what this looks like. Because my intention was the buckwheat was just going to take over the field again and was just going to keep regenerating the soil. And mainly because of the peanuts, but probably because of the condition of the soil, that didn't happen. But this is what it would have looked like if we would have left it alone. And in retrospect, maybe we should have left it alone. Obviously, there's still peanut plants growing in here, and the buckwheat looks like it's dead now. But at least this looks a little fuller, because the brush hog that I have is not the best brush hog in the world. When I mean not the best, it's 4 feet wide. And a 4-foot wide brush hog, it took me about, I want to say about 3 hours to brush hog this part. That was going basically as fast as I could. This soil is not even, because right after they cultivated, some heavy rains came through, and there's little valleys and stuff in the dirt, and so you can't see that while the grass is 3 feet tall. But I was able to do it in about 3 hours. And for a lot of different reasons, I don't want to be brush hogging a lot here. We're going to start trying to not cultivate, hopefully, back here, because this ground has been farmed commercially for at least 100 years with modern equipment. Before that, it was farmed with pre-mechanical equipment, like colonial era, 1800s, that sort of thing. And so this has been farmland of some sort that we know of since before the Revolutionary War, because the family people that own a lot of the land around us, they said that this was family-owned property since before the Revolutionary War. So the other thing I wanted to do is I want to come back here and I'm going to come back here every once in a while. But this area here, this little opening right here, the reason this was here was so the farmer had a little avenue to go from one field to the other field. And so they would just maintain it so they could be able to take their equipment back and forth. Well, now that the farmer's not coming this direction anymore, because the commercial farmers are not coming on our field, this is not necessary. So what I'm wanting to have happen is I want nature to let its course. And so May of this year was the last time anything has been done with this. And so hopefully within about 2 or 3 years, I want to start seeing pine trees in here. And within 5 to 10 years, hopefully pine trees will be tall enough I won't even be able to see over there. And which is long thing of what I wanted to do was, I want to be able to limit the potential viewing to and from the property. Not from a security standpoint, but from more of a, if any of this ever gets developed around me, I want to have buffers around me, because we moved all the way out here to not be able to see neighbors and stuff. So that's what I want to do. And that gets to be a winter project. So I got to move that sucker out of here in the winter time, which means I got to cut it up and just chuck it in the woods. Luckily, we have a little Ego chainsaw, and it's perfect for that type of stuff. Obviously, I'm not cutting down trees with it, but I can cut down stuff like that. And while I'm yakking here, a few weeks ago, we had some feral hogs in the area, and they're actually still not too far from us, which is not encouraging. But one of them was out in this area one morning, and if I had a high-powered rifle, I would have got him. Feral hogs in South Carolina, you do not have to have any sort of license to kill. They're considered an invasive species. So there's no limit to them, and you can kill them if they get on your property. The only time you have to have any type of permission is if you're using hunting dogs to go after the feral hogs. And one of our neighbors on the other side of the woods on the other side of the road over there, they found I don't know what a group of hogs would be considered, so I'll just call it a nest. But they found a nest of about 30 of them, and that is enough of these hogs to cause real damage, and to both property, livestock, etc. So they actually hired a group of guys that had a bunch of hunting dogs, and the intent was to get the dogs in there to make a bunch of noise to flush them out, and then once the pigs got flushed out into the fields, then the hunters would shoot them. The dogs would not be trying to kill the pigs. That would not end up well for the dogs. The dogs would just be there for flushing. I'm just looking at sisters right now. Ever since the lawnmower was in the shop, I've been letting the sisters out pretty much every night. So when it gets to about a certain time at the night, they're like chomping at the bit to go out, which is kind of funny. Then Andrea did a video where I get a little cup with sunflower seeds, and all I have to do is just have that cup, and especially the rooster sees that cup and he completely just freaks out because he knows what's in that cup. Last night I came out because I didn't give him seeds. I was going to give him soldier fly larvae, which is in the actual coop storage over there, so I didn't bring the cup out. And evidently they knew the difference, because he just kind of saw me and he's like, yeah, whatever. But then when I started throwing the soldier fly larvae on the ground, the sisters figured out what it was. Then everybody started freaking out. So he actually knows what the cup looks like, and it's the cup that he actually sees, and that's what he gets excited about, and that's so funny. But anyway, it's not a chicken video. But yeah, I think we're doing pretty good with the field back here. We're planning on, not this year, but the end of next year, going into the field with the garlic for the first time because we're going to start running out of room over here. But slowly but surely, I think by liming and by just doing some bare bone maintenance onto the field, I think slowly but surely we'll start building it back up. We're not in a hurry with this 5 acres, so if it takes a few years to get it back up, as long as we just do stuff to it, I think it'll be good. I don't want to cultivate and do stuff like that unless we have to give the soil what they call a rest, because it's been cultivated to death over the last, Lord knows how long. But overall, especially with the peanuts doing the way they do. Oh, one other thing with the peanuts, if you have like that soybeans next to us over there in that field, and I don't know for sure, but there's a high probability those soybeans are GMO soybeans. And the thing with GMO crops is those have patents on them, or I think majority of them do, which means that whoever sells those seeds actually owns the seed part of that, which means that you can't. Now, this is Andrea telling me, so I might or might not be 100% correct with this. You can't have the soybeans and then save some like seed soybeans for next year and then do them again, because the company that made that GMO product actually owns that part of the process. So there's people that have bought fields that had like soybeans or corn or something on it the year before, and they've had to physically go in when it's gone just wild stuff like what our peanuts are doing, and they've literally had to burn the crops out because they could get fined for having those just naturally pop up in their field. It's kind of retarded, but it's just the way it is, and I could be explaining it wrong too, so there's that. But what I was getting at is that I looked it up yesterday, and evidently the peanut industry as a whole has decided not to GMO the different peanut varieties. So theoretically, these peanut plants that are here, now these peanuts are like for peanut butter peanuts. They're not for like regular roasting and eating peanuts. So what that means, if they're not GMO, that means that they're not tied to some sort of patent, which means we can let them do what they're doing and should not have any legal consequences with it. So I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, Andrea will probably complain at me, and if it's too far off, then she can do a video correcting what I said. But I think I got it fairly correct. Oh, and the other thing is, after I brush hogged, since all this is a lot lower now, the crows have been over here a lot more, which anything with crows and chickens, you want to have crows like not on top of chickens, but in the vicinity of chickens, because crows are very territorial and they will keep predators like hawks away, but they don't consider a chicken a threat, so they leave chickens alone. But they'll shoo the hawks out of here. And we have red-tailed hawks that fly around in this area, and anytime the red-tailed hawks come over here, the crows shoo them out. So the fact that crows are in the field more, to me, is actually a good thing. So anyway, done rambling. Just wanted to do a little video on the state of the field, at least as of mid-September.